It's time for a brand new New York Jets experience every morning, and we start that right now. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning. Here we are, baby. A brand new New York Jets experience. I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. We're streaming live right now to our 30,000 New York Jet fans on the Heavy on Jets page, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, and on Twitter as well, @BoyGreen25. This is Boy Green Daily, a brand new New York Jets video show, and I'm not going to waste a lot of time explaining because these are meant to be and designed to be quick, snack-size episodes with special guests, 20 minutes every day, 7:30. Mark your calendars, folks. Without further ado, let's bring in fellow Jets content creator, a full-time Jets content creator. That is Matt O'Leary, gracing us with his presence for the very first episode. What is up, Matt?
I am excited to join. Thank you so much for having me, Boy Green. Let's hop into it, man.
Yeah, let's get into it. As we're going through this, guys, for the full visual experience, there's an article down below that gives you the topic list of things that we'll be going over. And I want to start with Aaron Rodgers because Jeremy Fowler did a Sports Center hit yesterday. And we want to talk about the trending topics around the Jets. And he said that Aaron Rodgers had glowing reviews since he's gone in the building. And I'm told that he's had glowing reviews in the building. He's really been a game changer since he showed up for OTAs. I want to start here, Matt. How surprised are you? Because we're outside people. We're Jets people, okay? He was in Green Bay for 18 years, and the outside perception seemed to be that he doesn't show up to things anymore. He's kind of hit and miss, so commitment issues, if we're talking relationship status, okay? And then on top of that, there were some rifts with young players. The Jets are an incredibly young roster, yet it seems like everything is clicking. Have you been surprised by anything with the Aaron Rodgers experience thus far?
Yeah, I guess in a sense, because like you said, the everything coming out of Green Bay felt like a guy who was just he was done. Like he didn't want to, put in the necessary effort with going to the extracurriculars. But that couldn't be further from the case with the New York Jets, whether it be, when he first gets here and he's going to MSG every night for the playoffs or just making the rounds. But hanging with his teammates, and he was there for OTAs and very involved. And part of it's installing a new offense, and part of it's, trying to get acclimated to, transitioning after being in Green Bay for all those years and now joining a new team. But I think you have to be thrilled with what you've seen out of Aaron Rodgers so far with his interest and commitment level to this team. I think instead of it being like, oh, this guy, like he's just a veteran, doesn't want to necessarily put the effort in. I think he was just done with Green Bay, and he looks and feels very rejuvenated now that he's a member of the New York Jets.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair way to put it, Matt. Now, I want to throw this up on the screen. This was a trending topic this week. Here is a photo of Aaron Rodgers, okay? Holy, here's Paul Lesnar, Boy Green, all his crazy words. Aaron Rodgers looking freaking jacked ahead of training camp. Now, not everyone believed or agreed that he looked jacked. So let me throw this up as big on the screen as possible. Let me ask you, Matt, is Aaron Rodgers looking jacked here, or is he just a normal guy? I need your opinion on this. What do you think?
If that's not jacked, I don't know what is. He looks, the muscles are looking good. He looks like he's in great shape. I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, that's jacked. I don't know how that's a debate.
Apparently, Cam Hayward, a Pittsburgh Steelers All-Pro longtime guy, he made a laughing Ryan Gosling gif saying, dude, he's holding like 10 pounds in each arm, in reference to the jacked name. And a lot of people were saying, hey, have you ever been to a gym bro? Is what they were saying when I called this jack. I don't know. His arms seem to be popping. He's got a little juice. I don't know. I haven't watched Aaron Rodgers' body over the last 18 years, but I don't know, especially if you consider age at 39. I just feel like this is Jack. I feel like there's no question about it. So I'm glad that you're you're on the train, Matt. I thought there was a chance you'd dunk on me here. I'm going to be honest. Getting into this
No.
subject, I thought there was a chance I'd get dunked on. No question.
Especially if you want to grade him on the quarterback scale and the age scale. I think that all plays a factor in. Like he's not going to be built like, Josh Allen or Cam Newton, but he's got some good definition to those muscles. What are we doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and thankfully you do too. So that's good. Look at there it is. Also in the article down below are some of the social media reactions, including Cam Hayward trying to dunk on Aaron Rodgers. I have no idea what's going on. Jets are not scheduled to play the Steelers this season. Maybe we'll see some of that in the playoffs. Also, I love this every year. Here's another one. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. He just released actually another one this morning about 30 minutes ago and change. His top 10 rankings of every position, and he interviews executives and coaches and scouts and players. And he kind of corroborates, the long story short, all of their voting. They each get a top 10 and he puts them all together, and that spits out his top 10 with some honorable mentions. In 2 of the first 3 positional groups, the Jets have had a player featured. Now, not today an edge rusher. They don't have a true edge rusher that made the list, but CJ Mosley cracked the top 10. And then also he had Quinnen Williams, obviously a bit higher at number 4 overall. Are their placements right? Like I said, you guys can check out the article down below to see some of the additional details. But are the placements right there? Are you surprised by anything? What are your thoughts?
No, not at all, really. With Quinnen Williams, I think a rising star, what we saw from last year. I think I might go a touch higher than 4, but I'm not going to squabble at 4. I don't think that's like disrespectful or an abysmal ranking. I would probably go 2 or 3 personally, but yeah, a top 4 guy there. And CJ Mosley is just one of the guys, not just with the New York Jets, but I feel like he's one of the more respected players around the league. And there's a reason why the Jets value him that much. His speed from his Ravens days and early Jets days in 2019 might not be there, but he is such a smart and heady football player that I think that allows him, even with him losing a step, to still be a incredible linebacker. I think both of those rankings are fair, having them in the top 10.
I have to say, people overreacted more than I thought. I remember it in the moment, but like even when this ranking was shared, so many people were in the comments about it. CJ Mosley went all Troy Polamalu in that Buffalo Bills game. And here's the thing. If he's right, he's on SportsCenter top 10, and we're telling this story to our grandkids for the next 100 years, okay? He guessed wrong. It was embarrassing when you miss, and it's bad, and then the Bills get the first down. We all know what happened ultimately in the game. But so many people were saying, like, CJ Mosley's a dump. Look at this play. There was more overreactions than I was expecting for that, Matt.
Yeah, like, obviously, it was I think I understand what he was trying to do, but it was a silly play. He probably shouldn't have done it. But that's one out of how many snaps from last year? Like, of course, that's the one that gets amplified because it just looked so terrible. But yeah, to me, that's an outlier. I don't look at that as the norm. But unfortunately, especially in the social media age, that's what's going to get pushed around.
I will pound the table, though. And the cool thing about CJ is because he signs this crazy deal, right? Because earlier in the day, ironically enough, Quan Alexander sets the linebacker market at like $13.5 million. Then a few hours, Mike McCagnon says, "Hold my beer, baby." Boom, and gives him like whatever it is, $17 million a year. So like clears the mark by $3.5 million or something on the mark. And then we all kind of went, "Oh, well, what's going to happen here?" First year plays in portions of 2 games. Second year COVID opt out. Everyone goes up. Another Jets free agent flop. This one sucks. But I will say, all things considered, I don't know if he will ever live up to the full $85 million billing. But if you really give it the full flavor here of what he's brought to the team, both on and on the field, this hasn't been, in my opinion, I'm curious yours, Matt, one of the worst free agents of all time. I thought he's been as close to delivering as you possibly could, considering the contract size.
Yeah, he's was never going to be, to me, a $17 million, at least over the last couple of years, right? Like we saw glimpses of him being like a legitimate game wrecker in that first game in 2019. Then injuries, unfortunately, took over a little bit, and then opts out in 2020. He's a leader of a defense. He's a very, very good linebacker, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to him to hold his contract against him, which I think that's what a lot of people are doing when they look at the $17 million price tag and say, "Oh, well, he's not worth that, so he's not good." That's not fair. He still is a good linebacker. You could say he's good and also not worth the contract. Both things could be true, and they're not mutually exclusive. But I think he's been solid. He's there's definitely been a hell of a lot worse in free agency that the New York Jets have done. So this isn't close to me for one of those abysmal contracts. Does anyone remember Tremaine Johnson? I believe that was the
Yeah.
same
Oof.
year in free agency too.
72
No?
million.
Yeah,
Oof.
that was in 2019 also, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, I think that was a few years before, but still, that was still 72 million. That
Not
one's
good.
bad. Like immediate crash and burn. Like we've had a lot of those in Jets history. So right, CJ Mosley does not quite make that category. Again, everybody, if you're watching, this is Boy Green Daily, a brand new New York Jets show live every morning at 7:30. Yes, sir, with a special guest. Make sure you support Matt O'Leary, the Just Jets podcast, that beautiful sign, beautifully lit behind him, of course. So make sure you follow him on Twitter at that very handle you see below at Matt O'Leary, New York. Let's get to the Quinnen thing. Do you believe, just gun to your head right now, do you believe that Quinnen Williams is going to get that extension prior to training camp getting underway? Yes or no?
Yeah, I still think he does, and I know we're inching so much closer now, but I think it makes
Sure.
sense for both sides to get that done. That's kind of been my stance for a while. I wasn't going to panic on this or worry about this until you get to training camp, and here we are now approaching mid-July, and I'm starting to sweat a little bit on it, but I think it's going to end. I think they end up coming to an agreement. It feels like it's kind of the structure's been in place for a while. We've seen 3 other interior defenders around the same age get paid.
Yep.
I think the benchmark is there. You're just talking about maybe a $1 million or $2 million difference from the ones that were given out. So I think they get this figured out.
Yeah, and I do as well. I think they get paid. I'm seeing we're getting comments in live here on the show, which we appreciate. By the way, you guys can also submit questions down below in the article link on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you'd like to submit a question for the end of the show, we'll do a rapid fire mailbag for that. I do believe ultimately he gets a bag. He has to get the bag. The Jets can't mess this up. It's the easiest layup in history. I think that's where they go. All right, let's get funky here, Matt. Let's get some Hall of Fame trivia. Hopefully, we're having a major announcement soon as it pertains to Hall of Fame. I already am in terms of me going. That's going to be phenomenal. I've never been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame before, so that's exciting. We may have more exciting news down the boat here. Let me ask you, Matt, including Revis and Klecko, obviously, who are inductees this year, do you know how many Hall of Famers the Jets have in Canton, Ohio? Do you know the answer to that question?
Okay. Well, are you like, does Ed Reed count? Like,
Yes, he does. Yes, he does,
counting?
which we'll get into in just a second. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna go
Okay.
8.
8. Okay.
It's my guess.
It's actually 20. 20 is the number. And here's why. Now, and it's very fair that you would potentially get this wrong here, because when you break it down, and we're going to do a little Hall of Fame trivia here, out of the 20, 10 of them played 2 seasons or less with the Jets. So technically, and this is an interesting fun fact for those who don't know, for the Hall of Fame, if you go to the Hall of Fame website, go boop, 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 Jets Hall of Famers, where are they? They'll spit you out 20 names. And if anyone played any part of a season, you mentioned Ed Reed, he only played half of a season with the Jets. The other half was with the Houston Texans. So if you play at all, you technically count on the Hall of Fame website as a Jets Hall of Famer, which brings us to some interesting trivia. How many, and this is mostly 2000 and on, although there's a few stragglers, how many of the, the part-time Jets, I'll even throw a freebie at you, like Brett Favre, like, oh, there's one of our Jet Hall of Famers, baby, but he played a season with the Jets. How many of the Jet Hall of Famers part-time can you mention that only had a cup of coffee with the Jets, but technically count on the list? Do you know how many of those can you name?
Yeah, so Favre,
Ding. Yep.
Ed Reed, we mentioned, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Ty Law is a Hall of Famer, no?
He is, absolutely.
Right.
Ding! There you go,
Yeah,
Matt
so
O'Leary.
that's gotta be, that's gotta be another one mixed in there. Man, Faneca.
Oh, yeah. Ding! Give that one, baby. Yes,
Okay.
that counts up on the big board. You're at 4. Very nice.
Yeah, it's funny going down memory lane on these things.
I know. Yeah.
Well, older, but Ronnie Lott, I would imagine, would count.
100%. Ding! There's a 5. You're halfway there, baby. Very nice.
Halfway. Okay, halfway there.
Yeah. 5.
There's got to be some more. There's got to be some more recent ones that I'm thinking from the last little bit here.
Yes, there is.
Oh, Jason Taylor, right?
Come on, bang, 6. Yes, sir. Come on.
There's got to be like Is Chris Johnson in the Hall of Fame?
He
No,
is
right?
not.
Okay,
CJ2K is not in the Hall of Fame. No, sir.
no. But I'm thinking like someone who
Okay.
literally who had a cup of coffee. Vic? No.
No, he's not
No,
in. But
not
we'll
Vic.
see one day, maybe,
Yeah,
perhaps.
maybe one day, but man,
Okay.
I might be tapping out here.
Okay. Okay. Well, one I know you're going to kick yourself about this one. There's no question about it. But LaDainian Tomlinson,
Oh,
obviously,
duh. Oh god. Okay, yeah, that's a big
LT. It's okay. Well, don't worry. We'll cut that out in post. We'll cut that. We'll cut that in post. I know we're live, but we'll cut that out in post. We'll cut
perfect.
that out in post. LaDainian Tomlinson. Ones I don't, I Steve Atwater, which again is right
Mm,
before. We're talking just a hair before the turn of the century. So we won't count him. And there's some that, again, I wouldn't have expected you to get if we're going to talk about like Ron Wolf. Technically, he was in the
okay.
Jets front office. Technically, still counts in the great Hall of Fame list. Yeah, Art Monk, another one. That's an older
Oh,
one, which again
mhm.
I said that's very fair that Art Monk wouldn't have counted, and that rounds out the list right there. Booyah! So those are the guys that counted inside that top 10. And there's others that just cracked the list on the other side. Bill Parcells was with the Jets for 4 years.
Okay.
4 years, excuse me. So he's kind of in the, I call him, if it's 4 seasons and on, I'm kind of like tip of the, John Riggins, if you go to him, because he started his career with the Jets, he was there for 5 years, or go through it, Weeb, Eubank, Joan Namath, Don Maynard, Curtis Martin, all of the great ones that you could put on the other side. Any thoughts, Matt? I know you're going to be heading to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so a couple of nuggets here. We only have a few minutes left in the show, but how do you feel about going to the Hall of Fame? Have you ever been before?
No, I've never been before. I'm really excited to go. Obviously going to go to the game between the Jets and the Browns, the ceremony, and then I'd like to actually get into the Hall of Fame as well. Take a look around and really take everything in. But I'm really excited about it. And, this is the year to do it. I feel like if I was ever going to make my way out there with two Jets going in, two legends, Joe Klecko and Darrell Revis. And I'm excited. I really can't wait to get out there, watch the game, watch the ceremony, and, take it in with a ton of other Jet fans.
Let me ask you, are you again, obviously, I'm sure this year with the Jets being in it, but are you a Hall of Fame guy, be a Hall of Fame game guy? For folks who don't know, it's the first preseason game of the calendar, kind of kicks off the entire schedule, so to speak. Starters don't normally play. It's kind of an exhibition of sorts, but it's like almost our exhibition. Like, okay, there's a little something, especially with the Jets play. Or are you normally in on the Hall of Fame game on a year-to-year basis?
I'll pop like because it's football, so I'll pop in, but I can't sit here and tell you that I watch the entirety of every year's Hall of Fame game. But I'll flip it if I'm flipping around, I'll put it on for a little bit. For this one with the Jets, or if the Jets in general, and I wasn't going to the Hall of Fame, I would absolutely be in. I want to see all those positional battles, but I can't tell you, I really care about like I don't know, the Los Angeles Rams battle for their fourth wide receiver. But if we're talking like, hey, is Denzel Mims like, is this the year for Denzel? Like, I can get in on those storylines for the New York Jets for sure.
I will confess, I think it was Raiders Jaguars, either last year or the year before. I'm with my dad. We had like a mini party, and we're like, "Yeah, football, baby!" It wasn't like the poster was Trevor Lawrence and like Derek Carr, but it obviously was. Although it was last year because Josh Jacobs played so much in the game, which was hilarious. And he ends up leading the league in rushing. Go figure. So you never know what can happen during the Hall of Fame game. But I will be excited because ultimately, and we'll end on this, Matt. I think this is going to be the Zach Wilson show. Not just the Hall of Fame game. I think really throughout the entire preseason. I'd be surprised if it wasn't because Aaron Rodgers ain't playing during the preseason. So let's just see what the kid has. I mean, he was the number 2 overall pick. The Jets are trusting him outside of a total disaster to be the number 2 quarterback. I don't know. To me, I'm tantalized. I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm seeing what he's done with the batch of months since being demoted and benched, embarrassed, and all this stuff. Now, all of a sudden, he gets thrown back into these preseason games. What does he do? I'm super curious.
Yeah, you're not as in on Chris Streveler and Tim Boyle. You want to see Zach Wilson? Surprising.
Oh, well, yeah, we will get some of that too. That's true.
Yeah, but
Streveler magic.
I'm with you. I think it's going to be a lot of Zach Wilson, and we'll see how far he's come along since the end of last year. And I think part of it we have to take with a grain of salt because it's a preseason and they're not necessarily going up against starters the entire time. So still, you'd rather it be a more positive experience, no matter what, even with the caveat that they're going against backups and second string guys. But yeah, I'm hoping that things have turned around from just OTAs. It seemed like it was a little bumpy, some good days, some not so great days, but it'd be nice if Zach Wilson can get back on track a little bit here.
It absolutely would. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the first episode of Boy Green Daily. These will be, we're just passing the 20-minute mark. These will be 20-minute snack-size episodes, real quick stuff, punching around whatever is trending around the New York Jets with a very special guest. So, Matt, thanks for being the first guest on the program. Feel free to give any plugs on your way out here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow along on social media and on YouTube at Matt O'Leary NY. We're talking Jets every day, trying to keep it light and fun, and appreciate you having me on for the episode 1.
All right, thanks, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. You'll see later who the hell the guest is going to be. Fun stuff. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.